obeisances and all Vaishnava devotees to the Lord, who would just like his heart, who could fulfill the desires of that they are full of compassion, the fallen conditioned souls. Jai, Vanchakopa Tarubhyascha, Kripa Sindhu Devacha, Patitana, Pavanebhyo, Vaishnava Devyo, Namo Namaha. Prabhupada, Jai. All right. Another big turnout. Thank God for the internet. Wasn't for the internet and everyone watching me on the internet, I'd go into a deep depression. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunya Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunya Bihari Gopi Nana Manava Giri Varadare Gopi Nana Manava Giri Varadare Yasodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yasodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Munate Rabanachare Yamunate Rabanachare Jaya Radho Madhava Kunya Bihari Jaya Radho Madhava Kunya Bihari Gopi Nana Balaguma Giri Bharatagore Gopi Nana Balaguma Giri Bharatagore Gire Bharatari Asodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Asodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yamunate Manachare Yamunate Ravana Jagadi Jayaranho Madhava Kunyabihagore Jayaradhu Madhava Kunyabihagore Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Paravidikacharya also Teta Sajashi Shimad His Divine Grace Abhaya Chananada Bhaktavrana Goswami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai ISKCON Founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai Prince Say Kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shivasati Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopi Gopinath Saima Kunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhan Ki Jai Vrindavanam Ki Jai Maturadam Ki Jai Jagadada Sami Ki Jai Manamai Ki Jai Shrimati Lasi Devi Ki Jai Samaveda Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai Gaur Premananda Hari Hari Bol. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Shri Guru and Gauranga Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Chinamani Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharni Nivashesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Desha Tarni. All right, so we are reading today from the Srimad Bhagavatam, 10th canto, 46th chapter, text 22. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Okay. Sarech Choila Vanudeshan Makunda Pada Bhushatan Akridan Ikshamananam Mano Yati Tad Atmatam Sarich Chaila Vanodeshan Mukunda Padabhushitan Akridan Nikshamananang Manoyati Tadatmatam Sarich Choila Vanodeshan Mukunda Padabhushitan Akridan Nikshamananang Manoyati Tadatmatam Sarich Choila Vanodeshan Mukunda Padabhushitan Akridan Nikshamananang Manoyati Tod Atmatam. Okay. Right. Saret, the rivers. Shaila, hills. Bana, of the forest. Udeshan, and the various parts. Mukunda, of Krishna. Pada, by the feet. Bhushitan, ornamented. Akridan, the locations of his play. Ikshamananam, for those who were seen. Mana, the mind. Yati, attains. Tadat matam, total absorption in him. The translation, when we see the places where Mukunda enjoyed his sporting pastimes, the rivers, hills, and forests, he decorated with his feet. Our minds become totally absorbed in him. So you can repeat. When we see the places where Mukunda enjoyed his sporting pastimes, the rivers, hills, and forests, he decorated with his feet. Our minds become totally absorbed in him. So there is no purport or commentary by the followers of His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada, but the acharyas like Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur and others have written very nice commentaries. So first we'll read Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. If this is the case, then I can understand that you are staying in the house and remembering Krishna too much. Therefore, to give up dwelling on him so much, you should herd the cows and walk on the bank of the Yamuna. Fearing such a remark, Nanda said, on seeing the river, the forest, and other places who they saw, where Krishna performed pastimes, our consciousness, or conscious, should be consciousness, actually, it says conscious. Should be consciousness becomes more absorbed in Krishna. We think more of Krishna, tadatmatam, and the pain of separation increases. So Jiva Goswami states, you should give up just staying at home, same thing, and remembering Krishna. Instead, herd cows and wander on the banks of the Yamuna. Nanda answers this with the verse, doing such actions will offer no solution to our problems. We see places in the forests, mountains, and riverbanks decorated with the footprints of Krishna, who freed me from the python, and Varuna, Mukunda. Even since today, those prints are preserved by the lap of the earth deity out of affection. And we see the signs of his playing. All living entities see them. What to speak of us? When we see them, we become absorbed in him, actually seeing his sporti. Now, I have to define that word before we go on further. Spurti is like some sort of like vision, some vision that momentarily appears, and you see things as they were before. You directly see things because either the power of suggestion or realization being sent by Krishna. There's an interesting section of the Bhaktivinoda Thakur's book, Jaiva Dharma, which talks about, it mentions Spurti one time there, and it's about this sannyasi Thakur, who later becomes known as Vaishnava Das, and he's just taken up Krishna consciousness by the mercy of the Association of Devotees when he was in Benares, and he came and took shelter of the Babajis in Mayapur. And so he was thinking, when should I actually give up my sannyas dress and dress as a Vaishnava? Because in those days, Vaishnavas dressed in like lungis, short white dhotis. It was not exactly a dhoti. And so when should I renounce this danda and all that other stuff? Just like we see Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, when he first took sannyas, he gave his danda to Lord Nityananda. And Lord Nityananda did what? He broke the danda in 3 pieces and threw it in the river. And he made an excuse. He said, you fell on it. But actually it wasn't true. He lied. So anyway, so this sannyasi, he was thinking like that, and then one night, he actually looked upon Navadvip, the whole Navadvip area, original Navadvip, not the present Navadvip, and he saw all these different, he saw it as it was like years ago when Lord Chaitanya was present. And in the same way, like Bhaktivinoda Thakur had a spurti when he was sitting in the present town of Navadvip in the Dhamshala, and he looked over the Ganges, and he saw a beautiful temple there. And he also saw a glowing orb coming from where Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared. So that's what a spurti is. In a sense, it's just like, wow, a vision. And it's actually given by Krishna. It's not some mental, aberration. It's that one actually sees temporarily this spurti. Or another example of spurti is when Narada Muni was a little boy and he saw Krishna. It was a temporary manifestation of Krishna. So it's real. It's not simply in one's imagination. So, because when the residents of Vrindavan see him and they just picture him in their minds and they actually see him because they love him so much, Krishna is there. Now, if I have a vision of someone, who I'm attached to in this material world, it's like when I was young, I had a dog. His name was Pepe. So if I can envision him right now, I can actually see him in front of me, just like, I go into my memory banks, and I can actually see him standing right there on the floor, the upper room floor. You can think, the mind is very powerful like that. That's not a spurti. That's just the imagination. A spurti is actually when something or someone spiritual actually appears because the thought of that person is non-different than the person. Krishna, talking about Krishna here. The thought of this dog, Pepe, who has long passed away into dog heaven or whatever, has nothing to do with him. It's my imagination. Okay, so spurti. So in him so I thought it was important to define that word, spurti. We are actually seeing his spurti. What are we to do? In other words, they actually see Krishna. And I'm going to relate that in terms of, actually a few minutes when I finish the reading here, in terms of the Goswamis of Vrindavan. Sanatana Goswami comments, you should give up remembering his activities. When we see rivers like Yamuna, hills like Govardhan, or forested areas like Kamyavan, forest of desire. Ornamented with the footprints of he who gives the highest bliss, Mukunda, my son, because he played there, our minds cannot give up thinking of him. Another version has Govinda. As king of Gokul, he is the object of devotion of all the people of Braj. The footprints remained for a long time without disappearing. Actually, they're still there. Some of the footprints are still there today. You can go to Vrindavan and actually see certain places. There's Balaram's footprints, Krishna's footprints. There's actually a place where Krishna's eating bowl is still there, printed in the rock. What's the name of that place? Do you remember? I don't remember that place. But it's imprinted in the rock. What? Bogostala or something. Yeah, it's imprinted in the rock. And then you climb a hill. Sometimes you see Krishna's footprints. There's a little temple around Krishna's footprints. At Govardhan, you go to the center of Govardhan, and there's actually a little temple. Right near the Ratna temple, the jeweled swing. There's actually a little temple with the lotus feet of Krishna and a cow, and actually Radharani in certain places. Footprints remaining for long. So, as king of Gokul, he is the object of devotion of all the people of Braj. The footprints remain for a long time without disappearing. Swamurtya loka lavanya nirmukya lochanam rinam girvistas madatam chitam padaistan ikshatam kriya. I have stolen people's eyes with my form, which makes them reject all other beauty, stolen their voices and ears by my words, stolen their minds, and stolen the movements of their bodies by the markings on my footprints. That's 11th canto, 1st chapter, text 6. That's one reason why Krishna is called Hari, means he who steals. Not only butter, but he actually steals the minds of all the devotees and the hearts. Or seeing the various places of pastimes, a kridan, decorated with his footprints with a display of various types of beauty, our minds become filled with Mukunda. And then we'll go back to the verse. Zrichaila deshan Mukunda pada bushitan akridan ikshamananam manoyati tod atmatam. So, Om Gana Timiranda Shah Gananjana Shlakaya Chakshur Unmiritam Yena Tasmai Shi Gurave Namaha. So actually it's interesting in the just a few words before I get to the main topic. In the commentaries of the Acharyas, they say that sometimes instead of Mukunda, the word used in the verse in certain versions of the verse is Govinda. And of course, Govinda means the pleaser of the senses, it means the pleaser of the cows, etc. And Mukunda sometimes is taken as the giver of liberation, but it's also taken as one who has a face like a lotus flower, beautiful face. So they're actually envisioning, talking about the Spurti again, they're actually envisioning, Nanda Maharaj is actually envisioning Krishna's face when he sees these different places. That's why he's using the phrase Mukunda. You understand? Because he's actually seeing Krishna's beautiful face. And you see that each time Krishna's referred to, and with different nomenclature, it indicates something different in the mood. I mean, in the Bhagavad Gita, you see this quite often. Not only Krishna, but Arjuna is referred to as Gudakesh, conqueror of sleep, Parantapa, mighty arms guy. And so there's actually a reason for the particular nomenclature. It's quite interesting when you see these discussions between Krishna and his devotees, or with devotees about Krishna, how they talk about Krishna and what word they use to refer to Krishna. So what you're seeing here described is something called the description of vibhavas. Now, for those of you who haven't heard me talk about this before, This involves the topic of the bhavas, or emotions. And of course, in this material world, we have what? Bhava rog, sick emotions. Just like, sick emotion would be like whenever I see my car, that's a vibhava, I get ecstatic. It makes me happy. Or whenever a husband sees his wife, it makes him happy. That's a vibhava. The wife is, all right, so let's talk about the two types of vibhavas. There's alambana and udipana. Alambana means directly the object, or in this case it means directly Krishna, and udipana means things related with Krishna, or things related with the object. So the udipanas are being described here in this particular verse. Govardhan Hill, the rivers and everything like that, they're all udipanas who stimulate the remembrance and stimulate the other emotions. And the other emotions are, some of them are voluntary, some of them are involuntary. The voluntary emotions are known as anubhavs. The constant emotions are known as sattvika bhavs. And the uncontrolled, we described this the other day, known as vyabhachari or sanchari bhavs. Sanchari means, and we'll describe this again, the emotions that move throughout the body in an uncontrolled way. They just like. And then, of course, there's, right here, is the sthai bhav. What is the sthai bhav of Nanda Maharaj? Anyone know? A parent. You understand? The mood of the parent. Bhav means the mood or the emotion of a parent. So he's situated in the parental ras. So you got all these bhavs, to use the English plural, which we always do. Prabhupada even does that, isn't it? Prabhupada uses the English plural, puts an S in at the end of Sanskrit words to make them a plural. That's right, I don't need water. Yeah. Prabhupada does that all the time, like. And to make it plural or possessive, he actually uses English instead of Sanskrit. But that's normal, so we'll understand. Like you say, Chaitanya's devotees. Now, I don't think in Sanskrit that you just put an apostrophe S and you get a possessive, right? So I just described the bhavas, and so I want to relate this particular situation that Nanda Maharaj is talking about to the Goswamis in Vrindavan, and we're going to read one or two of the verses of the Goswami Ashtaka in this regard. But I want to read some quotes from Prabhupada, because the Goswamis of Vrindavan lived in Vrindavan. And they were experiencing exactly what Nanda Maharaj is mentioning here in this particular verse. So here's some quotes from Srila Prabhupada. How we should also be in the same mood. Prabhupada instructed us that we should be in the same mood. Certain things should stimulate our emotions. Of course, we're not in Vrindavan right now. Sometimes we go to Vrindavan. But actually, the temple is non-different than Vrindavan. Like when we greet the deities, it should stimulate emotions. If it doesn't stimulate emotions, there's something wrong. The Bhagavatam says that when one chants the holy names, which is actually a stimulation, to vibhav, the holy name is Krishna. Non-different than Krishna. You could say it's also alambana and also udipana. So if you don't feel ecstasy and tears coming from your eyes, your heart is steel frame, the Bhagavatam says. When you see the temple, or you see the chakra on top of the temple, like Haridas Thakur, Sanatana Goswami, and Rupa Goswami couldn't go into the temple in Jagannath Puri, but they felt ecstasy seeing the chakra and offered their obeisances, and then got the same benefit as going into the temple. Because the whole point is to remember Krishna. isn't it? Like we chant before the fire sacrifice, Oma Pavitra Pavitrava Saravashtam Katopiva Yaksmaret Pundurikaksham Savaya Vyantura Shuchi Shri Vishnu Shri Vishnu Shri Vishnu, right? By remembering the lotus-eyed Lord Krishna, one becomes purified regardless of, what one's background is. A Pavitra, whether one is pure, one is not pure. So these are all stimulations for us. We see the picture of Radha and Krishna over there. That's a stimulation. See a devotee, see Prabhupada, it stimulates. That's an udipana. Seeing Prabhupada is an udipana. He's not Krishna, but he reminds us of Krishna. Actually, it says a pure devotee, one of the qualities of the pure devotee is what? When you see him, you feel like chanting automatically. Whoops. Someone's phone. That's a quality. That's how you can see who is a pure devotee, like Prabhupada. Yeah, you feel like, normally you see a materialistic person, you don't feel like chanting. And so sometimes I feel like taking a bath when I see a materialistic person. So anyway, or when I hear things like, anyway, I won't mention what. So here's Prabhupada's statement. We should follow in the footsteps of Lord Chaitanya and the six Goswamis of Vrindavan. It's we. Sometimes devotees are thinking, I'm seeing Krishna, but the six Goswamis of Vrindavan never said they were seeing Krishna. They were always serving Krishna in the mood of separation. They never said, now I have seen Krishna. Or last night I danced with Krishna. No. They were crying. Where is Krishna? And they were always searching after him, wondering when they would finally be able to see him. That's from a letter that Srila Prabhupada wrote. And here's another interesting thing I picked up. This is where some people have written a song. Actually, Ravi Shankar's niece, Lakshmi Shankar, had written the words of a song called Krishna, Where Are You? And I've listened to it. It's very interesting. And George Harrison played that song for Prabhupada, and Prabhupada said, yes, this is the mood of the six Goswamis. Krishna, where are you? I have not captured you. I would love to capture you. I would love to have you in my vision eternally, but you are always disappearing from my sight. Actually, that makes me remember the story of Bilba Mangal Thakur, isn't it? He was blind. He blinded himself, and Krishna would come and bring him things, and he would try to hold on to Krishna's hand. And Krishna would wrest his hand away from Bilba Mangal Thakur. And he said, you can pull yourself out of my grasp, but you can't pull yourself out of my heart. I would love to capture you. So this is the mood. I would love to have you in my vision eternally, but you are always disappearing from my sight. This feeling of separation called vipralamba is very pleasing. Go on writing lyrics and music like this. This is your service to Krishna. It will, and remember, this is an interesting instruction from Prabhupada to George Harrison, showing how important Prabhupada considered to be sharing Krishna consciousness. It will not be good for you to live in the ashram. Sometimes devotees, they try to, in the early days, we try to get everybody in the ashram. You can do much more preaching and reach many more people if you remain outside. And that was to George Harrison. Of course, I'm not George Harrison, so I could probably do more inside. So then Prabhupada, all right, let's see, I have so much information here. So Prabhupada is commenting on this verse from the Goswami Yashtika, which I'm going to read in a second. The verse, Hey Radhe Braja Devake. When there is prema, these things come to be manifest. Yugaitam nimishena. So we're talking about separation. One moment will appear like hundreds of years. Yugaitam nimishena chakshushopa vishayatam. crying, the tears coming incessantly like torrents of rain. Chakshusha pravishaitam shunyaitam jagat sarvam. Without Govinda, without Krishna, the whole world is vacant. That is prema. Prabhupada here is defining prema. Prema doesn't mean, simply be talking about Krishna's intimate pastimes and thinking yourself as a gopi. But just the whole point is that there's no sense to anything. There's no reason to live without Krishna. That is prema, just like the Goswamis were. They also told this, Hey Radhe Brajadevika Chalalite Hey Nandoshu. Phew. Symptom of ecstasy, even the phone was experiencing. I often, so this is, I'm going to give the translation in a few minutes. They were living in Vrindavan. They were simply searching after, Hey Radhe, O son of Nanda Maharaj, Lalite, Rajake, where are you? Where are you? Are you near the Govardhan Hill or in the forest on the bank of Jamuna River? Where are you? This searching is called Vipralamba, love and separation. That is wanted, Prabhupada said. That is wanted. Feeling separation intensely and searching after. Where is Krishna? Where is Krishna? Where is Krishna? Another one is simply lamenting. I'm skipping over part of this. I got a lot of quotes here. Where are you? Where are you? This is prema. Not that I have seen yesterday, last night. Krishna was dressing my cloth. This is sahaja. This is sahaja. This is actual vairagya. When one becomes mad, so Prabhupada here is talking about, vairagya, becoming detached from this world. So this is the secret to becoming detached from the world. Vairagya means without passion. When one becomes mad after Krishna, where is Krishna? Where is Krishna? Where is Krishna? That is prema, and that is the highest perfection of life. So this highest perfection of life can be achieved, and then Prabhupada quotes from the 6th canto is really interesting. Tasmat sankirtanam vishnor jangan mangalang angasam mahatama pikaravya vijikantaka nishkritam. This is Shukadev Goswami speaking. He says, by performing Sankirtan. Wow. Chanting the holy names congregationally. So here's another one. Prabhupada said, I went to such and such a place. It's not that the people sometimes say like this. I saw Krishna Rasa Leela dancing. Prabhupada is criticizing that. The Goswamis, they are Anubhavananda. Their process of devotional service was Anubhavananda. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also exhibited this process, Anubhavananda. That means the bliss of following in the emotion, Anubhavananda. Where's Krishna? Where's Krishna? He is jumping on the water in the sea. And similarly, the Goswamis also, Hey Radhe, Brajadevika. And of course, Rath Yatra is in that mood too. The Rath Yatra ceremony. Anyway, so let's see how much time we have. And I just wanted to read the Goswami Ashtaka, not all of them, but the last two are, actually they're all related to it. Here we go, last 3 or 4. Okay. I'll just read the translations as we don't have a lot of time. I offer my respectful obeisances unto the 6 Goswamis, namely Srila Rupa Goswami, Sri Sanatana Goswami, Sri Raghunath Bhatta Goswami, Sri Raghunath Das Goswami, Sri Jiva Goswami, and Sri Gopal Bhatta Goswami, who are always engaged in worshiping Radha Krishna in the transcendental land of Vrindavan, where there are beautiful trees full of fruits and flowers, which have under their roots all valuable jewels. So the Goswamis actually saw this in Vrindavan. The Goswamis are perfectly competent to bestow upon the living entities the greatest boon of the goal of life. And number 6 is, again, offer obeisances to the Goswamis, who were engaged in chanting the holy names of the Lord and bowing down in scheduled measurement, even though they were so much absorbed in this mood of separation. Their sadhana, the rules of their sadhana, it's described, were like lines on a stone. They could not be erased. In other words, they weren't thinking, oh, now we've made it in Krishna consciousness. We don't have to follow strictly. We don't have to rise up in the morning anymore. We don't have to chant our rounds. And they were chanting the holy names and bowing down in a scheduled measurement. Sometimes it's described, the Goswamis of Vrindavan, they would a certain amount of obeisances every day to Vaishnavas. Just like we chant 16 rounds a day, they would chant obviously a lot more than that. And then they would offer obeisances, describe some to 100 Vaishnavas a day or whatever it is, go around Govardhan Hill every day. There's no mention of them doing Dandavat Parikrama around Govardhan Hill. It's not really part of our sampradaya. I mean, people could do it. There's no harm. But they would bow down, they would actually bow down more than Vaishnavas, which is interesting, than doing the Dandavat Parikrama, that measured bowing down and certain bowing down. In this way, they utilized their valuable lives executing devotional activities. They conquered over eating and sleeping, were always meek and humble and chanted by remembering the transcendental qualities of the Lord. And here's the 7th and 8th one, get closer to the point of the discussion today. Again, the 6 Goswamis are mentioned, who were sometimes on the bank of Radhakund, or the shores of the Yamuna, and sometimes at Vamshivat, where they appeared just like madmen in the full ecstasy of love for Krishna, exhibiting different transcendental symptoms in their bodies, and they were merged in the ecstasy of Krishna consciousness. So whatever they saw in Vrindavan was a vibhava, reminded them of Krishna. It was non-different. So, as I mentioned, we're not in Vrindavan, but we can, like we see Tulsi. Like, what is that? Oh, a song by Bhaktivinoda Thakur. Shudabhakata Charana Renu. Everybody knows that song now. Shudabhakata Charana Renu. He talks about, Krishna consciousness. He sees the Tulsi plant. He feels the ecstasy. All these different things, the whole world becomes vibhava for a pure devotee because he's seeing Krishna everywhere. And then the last verse, which is actually pretty much the same thing as the verse we're reading in the Bhagavatam today. I offer respects, obeisances to the Goswamis, who were chanting very loudly everywhere in Vrindavan. In other words, they weren't softly chanting. I mean, their japa was soft, but they would actually run around shouting, Queen of Vrindavan, Radharani, O Lalita, O son of Nanda Maharaj, where are you all now? Are you just on the hill of Govardhan, or are you under the trees on the bank of the Yamuna? Where are you? Wow. With such emotion, just like crying. These were their moods in executing Krishna consciousness. So, obviously we can't imitate them, but we can understand this is the mood we should be trying to cultivate. Seeing Krishna, again, my favorite verse, Yomam Pashati Sarvatra Sarvam Chamai Pashati, Tashaham Na Pranashami, Sachame Na Pradashyati, seeing Krishna everywhere and everything. And this will stimulate us. Every minute we should be in ecstasy like this, like Prabhupada. When I was in Prabhupada, generally the tears were welling up in his eyes. Of course, Prabhupada didn't express this so much to us, but if you got really close to Srila Prabhupada, usually during the classes, I would sit behind Prabhupada so he couldn't see me. Because it was really embarrassing when you look at Prabhupada and he looks at you. So I just stand behind Prabhupada. I wouldn't sit. Stand behind the Vyasasana. There's some pictures of me like that. And I'd look at Prabhupada's eyes and his ears, and everything was just like, and he was always experiencing this ecstasy of separation from Krishna and Vrindavan. When he chanted Jai Radha Madhava, it wasn't just like he was chanting Jai Radha, it was an ecstatic manifestation of his mood of ecstasy, because he was remembering Vrindavan, Jai Radha Madhava. Like Prabhupada said, all of Vrindavan is manifest within this poem. So it's not only the vision that stimulates the ecstasies or the mood of separation, it's sound vibration. You know, if we actually think about what we're chanting, you know, Jaya Radha Madhava present there. Or when we're chanting Panchatattva, Lord Chaitanya is present, and the members of the Panchatattva are present. Isn't it? Nama Chintamani, Krishna's Chaitanya Rasa. But we don't think like that. And if we think like that, then we can experience some of these ecstasies. And so this is what Nanda Maharaj is teaching us in this verse. So, we're over time. On that happy note,
Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Samasitam Buddha Sundarangam Kandar Agom Vikamaniya Vishesha Shobha Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Angani Yasa Sakalen Priya Priti Manti Vasyan Dipan Kayanti Jiram Naganti Ananda Chinmaya Sadhu Jala Vigrahasya Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami 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 Govindam
Bhajami. Krishna Padaya, Krishna Padaya, Mutale, Srimate, Bhaktivedanta, Samanichi Namane. Namaste, Saraswati Devi, Gurvani Pacha, Nevisesha, Shunyavadi, Ashachati, Tarande. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadara Sivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Shri Krishna Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadara Sivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Chaitanya Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadara Sivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Krishna Chaitanya Nityananda Sade Golakre Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadara Sivasadi Golakre Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Jai Hare Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Jaya Radha, Galokyanana, Galokyanana, Radhe. Jnana Dragon Jaya Radha Jnana Ramna Jnana Ragate Jnana Jnana Radhe 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 Jaya Radhe Jaya Radhe 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 Jaya Radhe Jaya Radhe Jaya Radhe Jaya Shri Radhe Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa ISKCON founder Acharya Thakur ki jai, Prem se kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadha Shri Vasudhi Gaur Bhaktavinda ki jai, Shri Shri Radhakrishna Gopi Gopinath Sai Mukunda Radhakunda Giri Govardhan ki jai. Vrindavanam ki jai, Mathuram ki jai, Jagadasami ki jai, Yamunamai ki jai, Shrimati Lasi Devi ki jai, Sangita Bhakta Vrinda ki jai, Gaur Premananda Hari Hari. All glories to the devotees, all glories to the devotees, all glories. Pratipadam Pranamrita Svadanam Sarvatma Snampanam Param Vijayate Shri Krishna Sankirtanam Nam Namakari Bahudad Nijasarva Shaktish Tatrapitani Matas Maranena Kala Etadrasi Tapakripa Bhagavan Mamapi Durdaivam Ri Drishanihan Nani Nada Raga Trinadapi Sanichena Taro Riva Sahishnuna Amanina Manadayana Kirtaniya Siddhahari Nadanam Najanam Nasunnurim Kavitamba Jagadishikamaye Mama Janmane Janmaneshvare Bhavatad Bhakti Ridhai Tukitwaye Ainanda Tanuja Kinkaram Patitamam Vishame Bhavambudo Kripaya Tavapala Pankaja Stita Duli Sadrasham Vichintaya Nayanam Kaludashrudaraya Vadanam Gadgada Rutaya Gira Pulaka Nichitam Vapukada Tava Grahane Bhavishyati Jigayitam Nimishena Chakshusha Pravishayitam Shunyayitam Jagat Sarvam Govinda Vidahena Me Aslishabha Pada Panam Panashtumam Adharshanam Marmatam Karotuva Yatadata Vavadatu Lampato Mat Prananatas Tu Sevanaparaha. Victory of the Sri Krishna Sankirtan, which cleanses the heart of all the dust accumulated for years and extinguishes the fire of conditional life, of repeated birth and death. This Sankirtan movement is the prime benediction for humanity at large because it spreads the rays of the benediction moon. It is the life of all transcendental knowledge. It increases the ocean of transcendental bliss and enables us to fully taste the nectar for which we are always anxious. O my Lord, congregational chanting of your holy name alone can render all benedictions to living beings, and thus you have hundreds and millions of names like Krishna and Govinda. In these transcendental names, you've invested all your transcendental energies. There are not even hard and fast rules for chanting these names. O my Lord, out of kindness, you enable us to easily approach you by your holy names, but I'm so unfortunate that I have no attraction for them. One should chant the holy name of the Lord in a humble state of mind, thinking oneself lower than the straw in the street. One should be more tolerant than the tree, devoid of all sense of false prestige, and should be ready to offer all respect to others. In such a state of mind, one can chant the holy name of the Lord constantly. O Almighty Lord, I have no desire to accumulate wealth, nor do I desire beautiful women, nor do I want any number of followers. I only want your causeless devotional service, birth after birth. O son of Maharaj Nanda Krishna, I am your eternal servitor, yet somehow or other I have fallen to the ocean of birth and death. Please pick me up from this ocean of death and place me as one of the atoms at your lotus feet. O my Lord, when will my eyes be decorated with tears of love, flowing constantly when I chant your holy name? When will my voice choke up, and when will the hairs of my body stand on the recitation of your name? O Govinda, feeling your separation, I'm considering a moment to be like 12 years or more. Tears are flowing from my eyes like torrents of rain, and I'm feeling all vacant in the world in your absence. I know no one but Krishna is my Lord, and he shall remain so, even if he handles me roughly by his embrace, or makes me broken-hearted by not being present before me. He is completely free to do anything and everything, for he's always my worshipful Lord. So today, one or two announcements. Today is Sundari Radha's birthday. Congratulations. And she dressed the deities. Happy birthday. And just what, Sundari, she dressed the deities. And one, I want to ask everyone's prayers. There's a mother of one of the devotees who's a good friend of mine, passed away. And this lady is actually very special. This friend of mine, his name is Govinda. He's Chinese. And he was one of the first ones who started the preaching in China, and he arranged for the publication of Prabhupada's Gita. He was the first one to arrange for the publication of Prabhupada's Gita. So his mother just passed away. A little bit about his mother that I wanted to read in front of the deities so that Krishna will appreciate her. He said he plays the guitar also. And he said he plays the guitar because his mother, she grew up in a family that cherished music, and her elder sister was a trained musician. During the communist era in China, during the 60s and 70s, my mother's musical talent stood out, and she became one of the few local musicians who could read songbooks and constantly sing revolutionary songs. So, because Govinda's family was actually, they were considered a counter-revolutionary family. They were exiled for a little while, and they were forced to live in a remote countryside village. So he said, I felt immense pride, even at a young age of 6. So the mother's love for of music influenced him to pick up the guitar and play during his college years. And he was singing pop songs in the beginning. So in 1989, he encountered devotees in the English corners of Xi'an City, I don't know how to pronounce it, and started chanting Hare Krishna. And he invited his 2 foreign devotees to his dormitory, saying to his classmates, we will learn a new song, the Hare Krishna song. He picked up his guitar, and the entire class began singing Hare Krishna in China. This is revolutionary. This happened in the early 90s. Once, Tamal Krishna Maharaj jokingly remarked, we have a devotee here in northern China who plays the guitar and distributes books. That will create many devotees. And he could see how his mother's encouragement to play the guitar connected him to the world of Hare Krishna singing and dancing. So this is another interesting information. His mother's cousin was married to the Vice Chief Chinese Air Force Commander, and she played a significant role in connecting Govinda with influential individuals involved in publishing the Chinese version of the Bhagavad Gita and broadcasting the Mahabharata on TV series in China. It was his mother, Govinda's mother, who first suggested that I reach out to Miss Lang, who is the married to the Vice Chinese Air Force Commander. The guidance for this endeavor came from my guru, Tamal Krishna Maharaj. So, her name is Sarah, I don't know how to pronounce, Kian, and he sent me a photo of his mother. So you see, like, just a little spark was able to ignite a whole revolution in Krishna consciousness in China. Pretty amazing. So, anyway, I wanted to pray for his mother. His mother certainly was put into place to facilitate the carrying out of Lord Chaitanya's mission there. Okay. That's nice. All glory.